Hi everyone, Kenji here, your sculptor, and welcome back to Life of Clay for another sculpting session. And today, I'll be showing you how I sculpt this giant magical snail creature in Harry Potter universe, called the Streelers. And before we begin, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell icon to see more of my sculpting videos in the future. Alright then, without further ado, come bring the clay on and let's begin. First, I draw a quick sketch of our subject, refining it based on available references. Then, prepare its armature by forming aluminum foil into a gourd shape. I also make small conical shaped pieces of tin foil that I attach to the tip of these stainless steel wires using 2 parts epoxy. Then I just poke holes and stick each to the gourd shaped filler using 2 parts epoxy to fix them in place. Then I fill the gaps and cover the rest of it with aluminum tape to smooth it out. And now covering it with a thin sheet of Cosclay translucent. And here's a little trivia about our subject. Streelers are giant magical snail within the Harry Potter universe and are classified by the Ministry of Magic as a triple X beast, meaning moderately dangerous and requires a competent wizard to handle. They are famously kaleidoscopic, changing color on an hourly basis. That's why wizards enjoy keeping them as pets. Their shells are also used in the production of doxycide, a paralyzing potion intended for doxies, and also in hair dyeing potions. They leave a trail of slime so toxic that it shrivels and burns all vegetation over which it passes, and it's capable of killing Horklumps, and their shell have sharp spikes that can inject venom to defend against predators like birds and rodents. That's why wearing thick protective gloves when handling them is a must to avoid being stung by their poisonous shells. Absolutely, it's a no-no as escargot substitute. Now, adding details on it including pointy conical spikes protruding the top of the shell and arc openings on the base. Here I'm adding noodle of clay to the rim of the base to make it rounder. Brushing it with cornstarch to reduce the stickiness of the surface, and add narrow ring texture around each spike and linear texture near the rim of the base. The shell is done and it's now ready for baking. I just lay it on a bed of fine Arabian sand and hooded it with tin foil to prevent burning it, baking it at 135 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes. After that, I remove the filler, holding the shell firmly but not too hard, pulling out the tin foil up to the last piece. Set it aside and let's proceed in sculpting the snail's body. First, I form the basic shape I want for the snail's body using tin foil, securing it with aluminum tape. Then cover it with a thin sheet of Cosclay gray, leaving the head, tail, and sides of the body uncovered for later procedure. And I start shaping it, adding wrinkle and skin folds details on the top side of the body and leaving the foot flat. I add some noodle of clay here and there to elevate and form the skin folds. Now brushing it with cornstarch and press the shell over it to leave imprint, retouching it and then to curing it goes, using the same oven parameters. Let us now add the base for the light. I apply liquid polymer clay around the rim and add an inch piece of clay, shape it and blend it in. I also brush it with cornstarch and press the bottom part of the light to leave imprint and fix the surrounding clay. And after that, I just cure it with heat gun. For the eyes, I use this 0.3mm stainless steel wire as armature. Then I just cover it with a thin noodle of Cosclay translucent and form it into slender stalk with a small ball shape on the tip. Then I just add texture around it using a ball tip tool. And I precolor it with burnt sienna and burnt umber soft pastel diluted with water. And cure it using heat gun, pulling it out from the wire once cooled down. And look how flexible the Cosclay really is. This is the best clay I use by far. And now, sculpting the sides, head, and its tail. I apply liquid polymer clay and add translucent clay. Then I just blend it in and smooth it out. Then adding texture on it, connecting the skin folds and wrinkles of the gray clay. Next, I add filamentous fringe around it using a very thin noodle of clay that I cut into various lengths, attaching them around the edge, blending their bases to ensure the bond. I move some of the filaments like they're moving in waves to make its pose more dynamic. Now, adding its eyes. I just make poke holes wide enough to fit the bases of the eyes, dipping their bases in liquid polymer clay and insert into the holes. Close the seam to secure them. Then I also add two small pieces of clay at the front of the eyes, and these are its sensory appendages. Now brushing it with alcohol to smooth out, and to final curing it goes, using the same oven parameters. And now it's time to add the magnets, both on the shell and to its body. I first put the pieces together and drill a small hole through to mark the magnet's location. Then, using a hand drill, I grind in craters the size of which the magnets could fit in. And the magnets I use are small coin neodymium magnets, and I use cyanoacrylate glue to fix them in place. To make sure that the magnets have their correct polarity for attraction, I mark each to avoid mistakes. And there they are, nicely fit, and surprisingly, the magnets holds well. And to painting we proceed. First, I use raw sienna diluted with a little bit of water to keep the translucency of the clay visible. Next, using burnt sienna to cover the gray clay, blending the color well to create gradient. Then, painting the base of the light and its underside with burnt umber. Then I add speckles on its dorsal side using black. And after that, using clear resin to fix the light on its place and set it aside to cure. Next, painting the shells using diluted bush yellow for the first one and using diluted sap green for the other one. Then adding dots and broken horizontal line markings around the spikes and on the rest of the shell using black. And to finish the painting process, sealing all the pieces with gloss water-based varnish. And let's bring forth the magical touch, the color shifting light effects that could be controlled using this magical wand, remote control. So mesmerizing, aren't they? And there they are, our Streelers are finally done. Hope you like our kaleidoscopic subject this time, and if you do, please give this video a thumbs up, leave your comments about it, and also let's share it with our friends. I'm so thankful that I finished this series of magical creatures and I have more interesting sculptures in my list to be presented to you in the future. So please join me by subscribing to my channel and clicking on the notification bell icon so you could get more new updates. You can also follow me on other social media platforms and the links are listed in the description box down below. Thank you so much for your support and I really do appreciate it. See you again next time. Have a magical day, everyone.